This is the President McCormack Podcast with your host, Mark McCormack.
Ladies and gentlemen, Heather Dees, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Mark. It's so nice to be here. I'm excited.
Awesome. Heather Dees is a very, very old friend of mine. We have known each other for, 15 years?
Probably, at least.
Something long
Feels
like
like longer.
Yeah?
But at least 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
We went around.
So you're also my favorite IFBB Pro.
Well, I appreciate that. I hope so.
Very, very favorite.
Good.
So give us a little introduction to yourself.
Okay, well, I am 38. I don't know why I'm going to start off with my age, but I started competing at 24, and it kind of started transitioning my life into what I currently do, but competed for 15 years, turned pro 2010, and then I competed, on every big stage. So I did the Arnold Classic like 7 or 8 times. I'm losing count now. I did the Olympia 6 times. I've done like 40 other pro shows. So as far as competing goes, it's an insane journey because watching the transition of the sport has been interesting, I should say. And I've grown with it, so that's been fortunate. But I'm just diving right into my career. Other than that, I don't know what else to tell you about my personal life. I don't know how deep I want to go other than divorced, single, 38 girl living in Utah.
Heck yeah. All the fun stuff.
I've lived here my whole life and
Yeah,
born
you're a
and
Utah
raised.
girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Utah boy. That's why we got you on the podcast.
Perfect. That's why I'm your favorite, right?
No, you're my favorite because you're awesome.
Good.
Yeah. No. So before you started doing the bodybuilding, what were you doing?
I was a cosmetologist.
Yeah.
And I still do that, actually. Still do hair twice a week. My own studio. I've been there for 13 and a half years now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's just a switch from the gym. So I like the change up. Yeah. Mondays and Fridays. And I have a clientele that would probably be mad if I quit. But sometimes I'm wondering, is it worth it?
Yeah.
But right now it works and it's nice. And I don't want to lose my trade and the skills of that. So I'm going to keep it.
You're really good at that.
Thanks.
You also pull my nose hairs whenever I need them done.
I know, it's been a minute.
I know.
Are they growing? Are they curling? What have you been doing? Trimming them yourself?
No, I will bounce around. My little sister's does hair too. So like if I take Nixon to get his haircut or whatever, I'll just do it. I bought a couple home kits, but
you too scared?
Never do them.
Do you like psych yourself out trying to rip it?
I haven't even put it in yet. I'm like too lazy.
Oh.
So I need to do it. I don't know. I wouldn't psych myself out. I do like it when other people do it because I just feel like it's just nice and clean and
you just
done.
get to lay there.
Yeah.
That's always the best anyway.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it. I've done my own nose and I know it doesn't really hurt. I mean, it's like a pretty quick sting, but I'll always be like, okay, 1, 2. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's crazy.
So it's funny, when Michelle and I were dating, I went to her mom's studio because her mom does hair.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so she waxed the middle of my eyebrow, so I had 2 instead of 1.
Oh, good.
And so she put a little strip on there. It's pretty light hair, so it's hard to tell, right? And dude, I was like, okay. And she's like, hey, you ready? And I was like, yeah. And then she just pulled it, and I literally thought I had a heart attack.
It hurt pretty bad?
No, I just wasn't ready.
Oh.
She was like, okay, you ready? I was like, yeah. And then she just went and just took it right off me.
You're like, what?
And I was like, where's my countdown?
Yeah. No, I don't usually give my clients a countdown. I give myself a countdown. Yeah. They're going to be flinching anyway the whole time. But yeah, that's funny. That's awesome. I heard this one saying that's like, get it done for waxing your eyebrows is like, I don't know if this is appropriate, but like, taking some sort of drug. The first time it's free and then you're addicted.
Right. Oh, that's for sure true.
So now you have 2 eyebrows forever.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle's mom.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had a girlfriend in high school and we got mad at each other and I made a derogatory comment to her and then she called me Mr. Unibrow. Kind of bruised my ego for a minute.
Did you go immediately to get your brows waxed? Or? Mm-hmm. Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Good job.
I might have shaved him the first time because this was the 90s, right? Who knew you could wax them? But
yeah. Dude, I look at my eyebrows in the 90s and I'm grateful for microblading.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They've given me all new shape to my life.
Yeah.
It makes it easier, and I have good eyebrows, but yeah, it's just a new world with that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Although that's kind of dangerous because I don't know if you know, like, you don't really have to be like a licensed esthetician to do microblading. You just have to do some sort of certification.
Oh.
And it's literally taking a blade to a person's face. Like, it's scraping. I mean, you can hear it. And then it's not permanent, kind of. But I've seen like some women walk around with like these like scary black Sharpie brows. And I'm like, and they'll pay $500 to get it done. And I'm blown away. Yeah. Because I would never go to someone that wasn't probably an esthetician that knows like contraindications to skincare. Yeah. That's so crazy.
No, I've seen the brows.
You've seen some crazy ones?
Yeah, I've seen some crazy ones.
Yeah, it's because there's no regulation with it. I feel like they're trying to, but I don't know where they're at with it.
I've seen a few TikToks too where they fake a girl out. And that's pretty funny. And they're like, hey, you like what?
How do they do it? Just with marker or something?
Yeah, they just paint it on. Okay. And the girl's just like, oh, you got to fix this. And I'm like, the funny thing is, right, how are you going to fix a microblade? You got to wait it out, right?
Yeah, there's ways to like remove it, I guess. And yeah, you kind of have to wait it out. You hope your skin rejects the pigment a little bit. But it's kind of crazy. I've known people I don't know how they get them off. I don't know if you have them removed, like tattoo removal stuff.
Probably.
But then your eyebrows are going to be like white until it all heals up, which that'd be interesting.
It might be best just a tweeze.
Yeah, or wax. And threading. Yeah. Have you ever had threading done?
I've seen it. No, I'm too thin to have it done.
Dude, it's more painful than I thought.
Really? That's one of like the two little threads, right?
Yeah, and then like the thread just rolls across your face, and like the hair like rolls in it, and this is like ripping it out. So it's like very effective, but I think waxing is less painful. So just sorry, threaders. Sorry if I'm ruining your business out there.
Oh, I'm sure they'll keep their clients. Everyone just looks at Instagram and goes, "That's what I want."
They're all, I need this. I know. That's like, it's like the new Google, right? Kind of. Oh, yeah.
Well, I've seen a bunch of people that will they'll see a hairstyle they like and they'll go to that person because they think that person can only do it. Yeah. And it's like $1,400 or something like that. Oh. I'm just like, that was insane. That was a lot of money for one Instagram picture.
Right. They're making bank off of it. Well, and another thing too is like, I get this with hair clients and they'll bring a picture to me and their hair texture, quality, length, everything is not even close to the picture. They're all make me look like this. I'm all, we're gonna do as best with what we got here. Yeah. Just so you know, and then you kind of give them a rundown. But I appreciate pictures when clients bring them because I get an idea of what they want. Yeah. Because some people will be like, I don't want any red, and then they show me a picture of it's like I don't know, it's got warmer tones to it. I'm like, what? Tell me what you like about this picture then. Yeah. But,
so I can help you.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. So you're doing hair, and then you decide one day, bam, I'm going to become the world's greatest fitness figure pro.
World's greatest. I'm here to leave a mark.
How do you get to that place?
So honestly, when I first started, I would look at like fitness magazines, and I was married young, got divorced, and in that marriage, I kind of put on some weight. And I didn't like really recognize my body. And I remember we moved into our house and I was like, who is this? So I started running. I was like, everybody gets in shape running, right? Yeah. So I started running. I did like 5 half marathons, I think. And I lost some weight, but my body looked the same. It's just like a smaller version of what I had before. And I'm like, how do these girls have abs? Like on these magazines, how do you get abs? Is that like something you can actually attain? And so I started kind of working out, doing some research. And then this guy at the gym came up to me and I was working at the Life Spa in Lifetime, and he was just a friend, and he was like, hey, you should do a competition. And I was like, what's that? And he's all, you put a bikini on and you go on stage. And I was like, no, thank you. That's not for me. Yeah. And you have to understand, like, when you're not really thrilled about your physique as is and like comfortable in a bikini, you're never going to think, oh, I'm going to step on stage in a bikini for people to judge me. Like, that just sounds crazy. But I was like, well, maybe I'll pretend and I'll just pretend like I'm going to do a show, but get ready for one. So I told him I'm kind of interested in that. His name was Jake and Jerry, actually. They were, you know Jerry Shannon. Did you know Jake Woolley too?
I think so.
Yeah.
But it's been
a really long time. Yeah.
Jerry for sure though.
Yeah. So they introduced me to Justin, and Justin was coming into Lifetime that night. So I met him in the cafe, and you know, we had a talk, and Jake's like, show him your bicep. And I've always had genetic biceps. So that's easy. I look leaner in my arms than most of my body back then. And I was like 24, 23 maybe. Yeah. So Justin's like, yeah, come meet me at my gym. So I ended up going and meeting him at his gym. It might have been the next day, and just started incorporating like actual nutrition. Because when you're growing up, you learn the food pyramid. And so you're like, okay, well, I eat healthy, but you don't understand carbs, proteins, fats, and then what is proper nutrition for your body. Everybody's different. Like, I'm not going to eat what you eat, obviously. And so when he kind of designed my nutrition, I started following it. I started seeing changes like immediately. And then incorporating structured weight training, which I never had done. I would do like box jumps and ball squats and tosses and, you know, just like some machines, but never like muscle group splits like most bodybuilders do, or anybody trying to build their physique. So I started incorporating it all. And after like 2 months, I'd seen some major changes, and even like to a point where I would never wear shorts, and I started wearing shorts. Like for Halloween, I wore these like little shorty shorts once, and of course, because that's what girls do on Halloween. And I was like loving my legs, and it was like the first time in my life. And so it kind of made me fall in love, even just with the process of bodybuilding. So after that was like probably around August or September of 2007. By end of December, we kind of discussed, he's like, well, maybe you should get ready for a show now. And there was one in March. So we were probably like 12, 14 weeks out, and I decided to really commit. Now, nothing major changed. I was already on that path, but like maybe getting a little more strict with nutrition and increasing cardio. And then I won the overall at my first show in March of 2008. So it was fun. It was exciting. I've never just won some individual sport like that. I've done so many sports. I've played like co-ed softball. I did golf. I tried soccer. I did cheerleading 1 year. So, and nothing ever really stuck until this. I was like, oh, I found something I'm good at. Yeah. So that's kind of what propelled me into this career path. And I didn't know it at the time. After winning my first show, I was like, well, that was fun. Now what? And Justin actually encouraged. He's like, well, take it as far as you can. And I didn't even know about NPC, IFBB. I never had been to a competition or seen a show. So I didn't have this, like, I see people these days, it's like, my goal is a pro card, like road to the pros, you know, yeah. And that's cool. But to me, it was just like, I just want to see what my body can do. So we decided to continue on, and I did a few national shows. I think I did a national show that year and got top 10, which was cool. There was a 1-piece and a 2-piece round back then. Did you remember those?
No.
Yeah, it was so interesting.
A 1-piece?
Yeah, there was a 1-piece, and it was funny because I think because there was only bodybuilding and fitness back then, and figure was the newest division, since bodybuilding and fitness both had a routine, they're like, what else can figure do? Let's give him 2 rounds of swimsuits. Yeah. And it was funny. At my first national show, I got 15th place in my 1-piece, and then I got 5th in my 2-piece.
Nice.
Tell me how that works. I don't even know. I'm like, because I'm covering up more, I place worse. I don't know. Maybe I posed different. So my average was 10th, but I talked to the head judge after, and she's like, we're getting rid of the 1-piece round next year, so you would have been top 5 at your first show. So
Is that Sandy?
Yeah, and she's always been awesome. She's still around. I saw her last week in Pittsburgh. She's super cute.
Oh, cool.
I've been not to jump ahead, but I've been focused on judging now, and she's like very encouraging about that. She said they need more females on the judging panels in the IFBB, so maybe that's something I'm going to pursue a little bit more. But back to turning, I turned pro, and even then I was like, okay, Justin, this was good, like, let's focus, have a baby or something. Yeah. And he's like, well, you just turned pro, like, let's see what you can do. In the meantime,
you ended up marrying Justin.
Oh, yes.
That's why you wanted
fast forward. Yeah, so after even in January when I first started prepping with the show, we started dating, and then we got a little bit more serious towards the end of January, February, married a year and a half later, and then, my career kept going. So, and my pro debut was Pittsburgh 2011, and I got second place. And back then there was a lot less division. So top 3 people at all figure pro shows were qualified for the Olympia. So I got second place at that show, did the New York Pro, got second place at that show. And so I turned into a top pro right away, which it's so cool to look back on because it's kind of rare. I mean, you get those every once in a while. And even my physique back then, it's funny, I was like talking about it, looking at my physique back then and my physique on the Olympia stage when I was placing top 4 versus my physique now. Like, I wouldn't even be on the Olympia stage with my physique back then. That's the evolution of the sport. Like, the size has increased for my division, or in the figure division, and the conditioning is like, they used to say no striations, and they just want to see separation and femininity. And to each his own. I'm not trying to take away those that go hard in that direction, but for me, I'm like, I don't want to look like that. But I have evolved with the sport, and I've put on muscle, and I've increased my conditioning. So when I show up on stage the way I look now, if I would have looked this way maybe back in 2012, 13, 14, I would have been Miss Olympia by now, is my opinion. And I've talked to people about it, and they're like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I think too, with social media and the increase in the attention to the sport and, influencers and body goals, there's so much more draw to it. So these women with amazing genetics, not to take away from their hard work, are going to come in and like, you can't outdo structure. If you have a structure and you have good work ethic, you're going to do really well in the sport. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm a 15-year project, not that I'm done, but I've loved every minute, and I've loved to see my body change. And it's so nice because now it is easier to stay more conditioned, lean, without really having to try, just because of the muscle I've put on. Yeah. Oh yeah. But I don't want to chase that bigger look now.
Well, one thing I find is funny is, people will find out, like, my wife competed as well.
Yeah. Right? Michelle has an amazing physique. Always. She always has.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I'm sure she'll thank you too.
I love it.
You guys used to work out together, and, it was awesome. It was awesome watching you on stage, and we've seen you, and, like all that stuff. And it's always blown my mind that women go, oh, I don't want to be muscly. Right. It turns the inner bitch in me on, because I want to be like, you could never do that.
Yeah. I don't want to look like that. You're like, don't worry, you won't.
Yeah, you will never look like that. Trust me, you will never work hard enough to do that. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just what ignorance, right? They're not educated enough to know like how much work it takes. And even like when I talk about the women that go hard and go, taking more anabolics just to achieve maybe size quicker, or even if they don't have that type of genetics to build as easy, just like I said, it's fine. It's their goal, as long as they understand like what comes with it, because sometimes the side effects are irreversible. And if you want that, because in the grand scheme of things, this industry usually on stage is such a short window of your life. Yeah. So I always try to encourage women, like, just understand the process, enjoy the journey, and look the way you want to look. Don't chase a look to win. Right. I try to tell that to my clients that do have that desire to compete and turn pro, is as long as you're getting up on stage and looking how you want to look, and your health is good, then you should walk off stage feeling like you won. Yeah. But that's hard to say, like, when you're competitive, right? You're like, oh, well, I didn't get that first place, second place trophy, whatever it was that they were shooting for.
But I think if they want a career, that's the only way to do it. Yeah. Because like Dana Lynn Bailey. Yeah. I mean, she full on, they built a category for her because she was so different.
Yeah. She competed against me back when we were both figure. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's super cute, but you're right. Her physique is different, and she killed at her with her goals. So, and even now the new wellness division, which is, bigger lower half, like bigger legs and glutes, which I think Michelle would kill it at, honestly. Yeah. She's got total body type to do it. There had to be a division for those women. Yeah. And as much as like women like me would love to be in it genetically, to go against those women that are genetically blessed with it would be really hard.
So your genetics in your body that really stand out, right, is your back and your arms. Yeah. What else?
I mean,
it's funny because a normal person's going to look at you and be like, damn, she's freaking perfect everywhere almost, right?
Thank you.
But you're welcome. But when you look at those judges and actually what they look at, it's like they are nitpicky insanely nitpicky, right? And they'd be like, "Oh, your legs are too small."
Yeah.
Like Sandy actually told Michelle that her upper chest wasn't big enough.
Yeah,
Like,
she gave me that same advice actually. She does, and I was like, I thought back then I didn't have a boob job, so I was like, okay, so get boobs, is that what you're trying to say? Without saying it, but she did say like she doesn't care if you have implants or not, but she doesn't like it to be like flat and hollow up top. Yeah. So she does want to see some upper chest, and for most women that have implants, and maybe anyone that's listening to this, they should do some incline chest, but just incline, just so they're not affecting their chest. And I think even Dr. Helen would like to know that. I encourage women to do upper chest so they don't affect their implants, but just everything on an incline, just to create balance. And for life, if you think about it, if you have a developed back and you don't have a developed chest, it can play a role in pain or like posture as you age. So there is a purpose for body composition change and balance to muscles. But yeah, that is funny. You're like, okay, upper chest. What? Oh, yeah. Are you even looking at that for real?
Yeah, when you guys are going through competitions, I'd be like, I'd hear the notes and I'm just like, seriously? But then like when you take the emotion out of it and you look, and it's like, you've got, a division could be 30 women, in one show. And it's like, okay, they're all, well, not all of them, but most of them are at peak performance. They've all worked very, 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 very hard. And so it's like, you do have to judge these contestants, and you have to judge them on side-by-side comparisons and exactly what's going on. And so, if like your legs don't look as full as the next chicks, or they look too full, or it's like all over the place. Yeah,
and you can't, because a lot of people will look at individual pictures and go, how did you not win? But until you look at the side-by-side, and I'm actually like, it's been rare that I've ever been really pissed about any placement I've gotten, because I'll usually go back and look at the comparisons and go, okay, I can see how she'd be. And you have to be objective like that to your own physique, or else all of those yes men in your corner are going to make you feel like you got gypped, and then you're going to come off jaded, and then you're going to be bitter. And I'm like, that's not what the sport's about anyway. Like, it's about your own personal journey. If you love the way you look, continue on that path. If you don't, then change that, but don't do it off of and be all pissed off that, because it's only off of who showed up. And another thing is the way you pose, is such a big deal. So you don't see that in still photos.
No.
So if someone's like, the photographer did happen to catch you at the perfect spot, but you didn't hold it long enough for the judges to see, you might have dropped placement. You know what I mean? So there's so many factors. And so, but my whole point of that too is just like, attaching your identity to a look or to a sport, period. Yeah. In the industry, there's a lot of people that has, dive into their egos so much that if they don't place, or if they're not constantly posting about, and it's hard to say because I obviously post a lot about my physique and that's my business, but it's not my identity as much as it seems. Yeah. So I don't, it's not going to make or break me if I don't win a show. I'm still going to come off happy and look at my pictures and be like, cool, I did that again. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you're right, as far as building muscle and longevity of the sport is determined upon your health and the way you kind of take the sport. Yeah. Because you won't have longevity if you're going too extreme, chasing a look, not enjoying the process, or being bitter about placements. You're gonna fall off anyway. Yeah.
And you've always done a really good job of not making that attachment.
Thank you.
Like almost every show we've ever talked about posts, and I'm not shy to tell you what I think.
Yeah, I'm glad. I want people to tell me what they think.
But like good and bad, but it's like you've always been like, yeah, I did this, and this looked better, my legs came up a little bit, and like you've kind of explained it to me. I've almost like learned like what to look at. Because I'll be honest, when Michelle did her first national show,
you're like, I don't know.
The top two were clear winners. Yeah. Right? Like they were clearly the best. Mm-hmm. I thought Michelle would place like around 5th. Yeah. And she placed like 13th or 14th.
Oh, in nationals, right?
Yeah, that one in Chicago. Yeah. And I was like, this is bullshit. You know what I mean?
No,
I'm also the spouse too and the best friend, so I'm like,
you're like, hey, how much is this going to cost? I'll just give you a check. I remember.
Oh yeah. It's got to be rigged. Yeah. But you also have to kind of earn your position anyways, right? You got to do a couple shows. You got to do a couple national shows before the judges are like, I'll even pay attention to her.
Well, yeah, and it's not even necessarily intentional, but when you have like 30 to 50 girls per class, they don't have time to like objectively compare every single person against each other. Yeah. So if you don't walk out and make a statement, or you're not familiar and recognize, like, oh, they keep showing up. Oh, she's, keeps improving, or he keeps improving. Then they might not see you.
Yeah.
And that's not taking away from you, but it's just the way it goes. Like, yeah, girls show up and they've been trying to get their pro card for 10 years. The judges are going to see their face and recognize them. And if they look good, they're going to pull them out. Now, whether you think they look good or not is a whole different story, but you don't know the backstory. So yeah, you're right. With Michelle, I remember her at her national show. She looked amazing. Yeah. And me and her had talked about the one thing she didn't do was open her lats very well.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing. I'm not saying it would have made a difference, because there might have been girls in that showed up, it had been their 10th national show, and it being her first. Yeah. You do kind of have to pay your dues, and they do want to see that progression in your physique as you keep showing up.
Well, I get it too. I mean, the judges need to, they want girls and men, but we're talking about girls. They want them to be in the sport for a while. They want them to be like you.
Yeah.
They want pros to go to pro shows and do their thing. I think there's too many women that get their pro card, they're just like, bam, I'm done. And I think they're leery of that. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. I think, and I don't understand. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I understand that if that's just like your bucket list. But yeah, they do want to see the progression, because that's what drives more attention to the sport. And it is still a business. Mm-hmm. So they're still going to look at it that way. And it's unfortunate, but that's part of the politics of anything.
Yeah.
So they're going to be like, okay, who's going to bring more draw to the sport? And how much, what's their fan base like? I don't know how deep or who they have looking into that, but it feels that way.
Oh, absolutely. So
I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think your sponsorships matter?
I feel like they used to more so. I think back when I first started, big supplement companies were sponsoring athletes back then, and you had your big name brand supplements. I think now the supplement industry has been saturated with a lot of different companies, and now it's whose marketing game is better and who has more influencers posting about them. And usually the influencers don't step on any stages, so most supplement companies aren't hiring people that are competing, or hiring that's paying, I guess, to people who are competing. So back in the day, I did think it mattered, but that was just because there was more exposure to them too. Yeah. All the magazines were out back in those days too. There was Muscular Development, Oxygen, Men's Health and Fitness, or Hers. I can't even name them all, but there was so many, and that's actually why I got into the industry, because I would look at those magazines and saw the fitness girls and the competitions. They would post the feed in the back, and I mean, almost all of those are obsolete now, aren't they?
I haven't looked at one in a long time.
Right. I miss the magazines, but then at the same time, it's we have our phones. Yeah, we have our phones, and so no one picks up a magazine very often.
Yeah, the supplement companies, they really switched, I don't know, I'd say 9 years ago to influencer marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, big time.
Right.
So if you didn't have an audience, they were almost dropping their pros.
Well, and exactly. And not only that, the influencers are going to make a commission, so they don't necessarily even have to pay. Now, some supplement companies have some probably top athletes that they use for their own marketing material. But nowadays, it's do you have an affiliate code and how much attention? And those people still can make a ton of money. So the company doesn't have to pay it, and there's people that'll do it for free.
Yeah.
So why would they pay?
Yeah.
Unless it was across the board and expected, they're not going to be yeah, we'll pay you the salary. I was fortunate to come into the industry early on because I did have a lot of supplement sponsorships, and I did make a salary off of it a month. And, it wasn't much in the beginning. It gradually increased as I went on, which was nice to feel valued as an athlete and not just because all of that hard work, it's a 24-hour day job. You're doing 75 hard.
Oh, yeah. I sleep.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah. So it's just and I even get, sponsorships now, and people are you're so lucky. I was having this conversation yesterday with a client. It's you're so lucky you have a food sponsorship. So Fueled Kitchen is my sponsorship. And I've been a part of their, it feels like family now for over 5 years, and they're amazing people, and I would promote their business whether I was a sponsored athlete or not. Yeah. I love their food. I think the quality is amazing. and the people are just good.
Yeah, I'll tell you something funny. So I went there on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right, and every time I actually go there, so I went there with a couple. Well, I went there with one business friend / high school friend of mine.
Yeah.
And we walked straight up to your sword and your like
my booth.
Yeah.
They're like, we're in the Heather booth.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, it's my friend Heather. You know,
like,
and everyone's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I like it too. I love when people tag me when they're sitting at that booth on Instagram. So if you ever go to Field and you're sitting at the booth, don't hesitate to tag me. I'll repost it.
Yeah.
But so it's just, for me though, I'm like, I'm not lucky I have this sponsorship. I've worked 15 years and I have done all the work to deserve it. Because for the first 10 years, I made all my food and I did all the work and I did all the Tupperware dishes, and it was exhausting and annoying and a lot. Yeah. So there's no luck about it. Like, hard work ends up paying off in the long run if you are just consistent.
Yeah.
But even in the beginning, when I would get those sponsorships, it was cool, and I would be featured in some magazines, and that was fun. And, you know, that kind of was all.
Which is the one where you're wearing like the blue and gray outfit?
Flex magazine.
Flex, that's right. Yeah. Because that was like a 6-page spread.
Yeah. They did. Yeah, it was so cool. And that was such a fun shoot. It was back, it was like 11 years ago, 2011. Can you believe that?
Oh, really?
It feels like 2 years ago, maybe. And they had the Girls Are Back segment in their magazine. Yeah. And I actually had talked to, his name was Sean. Oh, what was his last name? Anyway, the editor at Flex magazine, he came up to me at my pro debut after I'd just placed second, and he comes running backstage and he's like, we want to shoot you, and we have this Girls Are Back. And it was like so surreal, because what drew me to the sport was seeing Gina Aliotti and Pauline Norden, I don't think that's how you say her last name, in the Girls Are Back feature in Flex magazine, and that's where it's like, I want to look like that. So for it to come full circle and then asking me to be in that segment in their magazine was very rewarding and really cool, and actually have it plaqued up on the wall at the gym I train at. So as it's cool. Should. I mean,
no, it's super cool.
But
you're wearing like a hat in those pictures too, right?
No, it was like it was like a Dodgers jersey or something. Like it was cut up. I don't know. I was dressed like they picked my wardrobe. They did my hair and makeup, and it was really fun. The photographer was Pavel Yithjal, which is so hard to say his name, and he is such a good photographer. So it was really cool to work with him and see like the end result. And I'm glad I had that experience, because I don't know if people necessarily have that these days. I don't know. If they do, I'm like oblivious to it. Maybe they're still doing it.
Honestly, I think I'm going to run out and see if these magazines even exist anymore.
Right, you should.
Because Michelle and I used to buy them all the time.
Yeah.
You know, they were fun.
I know.
I used to tell people, I'm like, dude, if you don't know how to work out at the gym, just go buy Muscle and Fitness. They give you like either a weekly or monthly workout. Just follow it.
Yeah, they'll even give you like a basic macronutrient breakdown of what macros to follow to start. It's hard because it's pretty generic, and like we were talking about, everybody's body types are different, but at least it'll start you on the process of educating. But everybody does that. They go online now. I mean, I'm sure there's posts about it, and between Pinterest and TikTok and Instagram, and what else do people go to for their fitness advice? That's a hard thing though. Do you see a lot of fitness advice on Instagram and you're like, that's not a good idea?
Advice.
That's a really bad idea, but they have the audience, so everyone's like, oh, I'm going to try that. And I see movements in the gym these days, and I'm like, why is that a thing? I don't understand.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So, I mean, you see people in the gym just doing all sorts of wacky stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, you know, and I'm like, I don't have my abs on right now. I got to shed my winter coat. But like, I look at people and I'm like, why are you complicating a squat so much?
Right.
Just go squat.
Right. Don't try to reinvent the wheel.
No, I think it's these influencers, right? They have to put content out, and they can't put the same content out. So they're like, if you point your toe 2 inches to the left, then that's going to hit this little inner muscle. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Your muscles are all firing still, by the way.
Every single one of them.
And what's the risk of injury with that movement?
Exactly.
Like, that is the biggest thing, and it's the hard part about the uneducated leading the uneducated. And that's what social media kind of does a little bit. I have a really hard time with it, honestly, and I try to love it because it's part of my business, and I'm still going to encourage you to go to my social media and follow me. But at the same time, there's no facts around it a lot of the time. And there's just like people preaching, and these women or whoever that are posting these exercises look like the way they look genetically sometimes. They're not doing all the things they're telling you to do.
Yeah.
They're just like this, like do this. And they're like, oh, I want to look like that, so I'm going to do that. And this person has no body mechanics. Their muscles might be turned off. They're not firing because of tight hip flexors, but they don't know any of that. Yeah. And they're just perpetuating these exercises that end up not working for them. And just be like basic. Like if you are trying to start out, like my advice for people like working out is like stick to stable exercises. Mm-hmm. Don't try to be an acrobat in the gym and like I said, reinvent the wheel with it. Just
well, then you also have a big fat layer of CrossFit. Oh, right? Yeah. And CrossFit's fine. You know? Yeah. Except for you have a high likelihood of getting hurt.
Oh, I would say 99.9%.
Yeah.
And I have a friend that owns CrossFit. She'll probably watch this too. And she's amazing. And I feel like they have good coaches. But in general, like the average person that's just jumping into fitness should not be trying to PR as quickly as possible.
Right.
That's a recipe for injury.
Yeah.
So
no, I think, and it's not that they're doing anything wrong per se. It's like you kind of go into this culture and it's just like, let's freaking go, go hard. And it's like, no, you really need to like warm up and move into it.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy, like I've hurt both my shoulders in the last couple of years. Part of the reason why I've gained a little bit of weight. Dumb excuse. But like,
how did you hurt?
One was arm wrestling, which is really stupid.
That's so typical.
I tore my rotator cuff.
No way.
Yeah. But like, dude, like, I've got a bad back, but I've got my shoulder was like the most debilitating thing ever. You can't bench, you can't pick up stuff, you can't.
It's annoying.
I mean, really all I could have done was cardio, and I didn't, so I just like, yeah, it's just not good. Like being injured is really, really bad.
Yeah.
What's really, really good is working with a coach and just starting to see good consistency and then move into things, to
right. If you get bored, but you've developed some sort of even like mind muscle connection with your own body, which is so uncommon. I mean, I usually teach basic information a lot of the time. My clients come to me and I love it that they're kind of newbie because I'm not having to break bad habits or undo misinformation. But for the most part, like, just build a base. And then if you get bored with it, try something different. Yeah. But then you're going to be more aware of your body when you try it. Mm-hmm. You're going to be like, wait, this isn't serving me. I'm going to try something else. Yeah. Because I do see that. And I see the draw to CrossFit because it is a community-based type atmosphere where, they'll do a lot of things together and there's the accountability because your friends all show up. So I see people gravitating towards CrossFit and even F45 type exercises because it's this group that'll go every morning at 5. And if you're not there, you're going to get like 3 texts. Why didn't you show up? And that's accountability, right? Yeah. And most people will reach their goals with accountability. Yeah. And whether they attach it to CrossFit or a trainer or anything really. Yeah.
I think we're both saying I think CrossFit's great. Yeah. For people who like that and the community's awesome. I just think if you haven't done anything for 2 years and you're like, hey, it's time for me to just hit the gym.
Let's go straight.
And you just shoot at freaking CrossFit. It's like you might want to go work with a trainer first and just ease your way back into it.
Right.
Did a training program with a personal trainer? Are you doing 12 weeks?
Do I do 12 weeks?
Yeah.
So
that's kind of the standard, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know what the cool thing about my clients is they commit usually to 6 months, but the first month I'm like so one-on-one with them and teaching them all of their basic movements for every muscle group. So my clients usually are never just 12 weeks. Okay. They're years. Yeah. Which I love, and they continue to progress and make new goals. And just the education behind what they get has been fun because then I watch them stay, even when they leave me, which it's not offensive because they're educated enough to go and do the same things they've been doing and stay in that same physique instead of going through this yo-yo phase that a lot of people do throughout their whole life. Yeah. But 12 weeks is probably at least the least amount you need to actually see some progressive changes. Yeah. To motivate you. Yeah. But so like come train with me.
Absolutely. Oh, I couldn't recommend you more.
Oh, thank you.
Especially if you're a lady.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, and it's been fun. And that's kind of like crazy because going into competing is what pushed me into more personal training. And I'm doing some certifications and like learning and apprenticing under Justin, who, you know, we both know he's a very educated person.
Absolutely.
That's one thing I say to everybody, actually. So if he watches us, he gets to know. I always tell people how smart he is. And I appreciated that because I learned a ton from him. And to be able to take that knowledge and also teach other people, it's so rewarding. Yeah. So getting into personal training, I didn't know my career would go that way, but I train, you know, Tuesday through Thursday and Saturday. A lot of the times they're 12-hour days, maybe not on Saturday, but you know, one-on-one with people. I still love it. Yeah. It's exhausting, but I still love it. And I love developing those relationships and seeing, you know, people not just transform physically, but their mental and emotional component behind their fitness is huge. Yeah. So when I get to be one-on-one, and this is hard because I can't do this forever. I can't train 12-hour days for the rest of my life, but I can, I'm going to have to, you know, be able to go online, but developing those relationships with people and seeing that is fulfilling to me, regardless of the financial increase behind it. I love that. Yeah. And that was another thing is like, that's kind of one thing I wanted to talk about this podcast is like, how much is there a mental and emotional component to fitness, and how do people understand that?
Yeah, no, that's a perfect segue. I mean, it's easy to talk about working out and eating a diet. I mean, the diet, your trainer will give you one, just stick to it, right? You're pretty much going to be good. Yeah. But really when it comes to the emotional side and the mental side, like for me, when the fitter you get, the happier you are. It's just like 1 + 1 = 2. Right. You know?
Well, there's just a confidence about you. Yeah. You can't deny that. Right.
Yeah. So with your clients though, like kind of walk me through a typical client, go over 6 months. They've never really worked out, they've worked. And then they start going through that. Like what's the change in their emotional state?
Well, for one, them coming to me, there's usually something that's going on in their life that makes them feel that they need to change. They want to change. And whether that's personal or outside influences. And that's kind of getting behind that. And that's why I like to, you know, you just start talking. Of course, personal training sessions turn into counseling sessions at the same time. That's the same thing as cosmetology. So I'll kind of figure out like what their goal is and why it's their goal. So as I'm educating them on their fitness, you know, we're kind of undoing like, and kind of diving into what's pushed them this direction. But I'll watch them, you know, get more confident in going into any gym. Like a lot of the women I train, men too, honestly. I have guy clients and it's been fun to work with guys. Yeah. But a lot of them like would walk into a gym and be so intimidated by all the pieces of equipment and or understanding how to break up muscle groups or even like what nutrition should look like for them. And even the freedom behind it, but not as free as social media puts it. Right. So there is freedom in choosing different macros, but there's still a purpose to whole food and good nutrition. So as I watch their education grow and them seeing, well, my body actually feels better this way. Oh, I can wake up and I have energy. I could go all day. I can play with my kids. I still work out. And so that to me, and like hearing like, well, my clothes fit so much better now. And I could go into my closet and pick out anything. And I like the way I look. And that inspires them usually to do more things, like whatever it is. Like, okay, now I want to educate myself more here. I've had clients that want to get into fitness and be educated because they've seen so much change in their life from it. But the mental component is a lot of the times, which I've seen, and this kind of pushes me into wanting to do even bigger things, which we'll talk about later, but is childhood trauma can obviously, most of us have it, probably everybody. Yeah. And it's nobody's fault. But when we have that and we don't recognize it, it plays a part as we age, right? And so as we try to dive in and figure out like, how is this holding me back? I mean, I've had it too. And I've like, this hasn't held me back. I'm, you know, personally successful, always been driven, became a pro athlete, running my own business. So I'm like, my trauma hasn't done anything to me. I'm good, you know, but you do have like things, and there's ways to kind of dive deep, and figure out what it is that's kind of pushed you to make certain decisions in your life. And sometimes that is fitness, and sometimes, you know, it will perpetuate eating disorders because they're like, whatever happened whoever made them believe as a kid that they couldn't be fat, they've done everything unhealthy to get there. And so to undo some of that and teach them health, but also to make them understand this isn't like your fault. You just, there's something inside of you, there's an energy that's been built up to make you believe you're not going to be good enough or happy if you don't do this. And some people embrace that and push into fitness, and other people like push against it and dive into obesity. So, but there's always going to be an underlying emotional or mental part to your fitness goals. And if you can kind of get through that, fitness is easy. You know, understanding mental, emotional discipline is just as much going to get you to that physical part. It's like, I choose not to eat this, not because I can't, because I can. You can eat whatever you want. There's no attachment to food. It's not good or bad. Yeah. It's either nutritious or non-nutritious. It either makes you feel good or it doesn't. So once you kind of like go, okay, I'm choosing this because I feel good if I do this. Or I choose this and I know I'm going to feel crappy the next day, but it's fine because I'm going to let myself do that right now. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine too. You know, you just can't be so emotionally attached, because that's what's going to either keep you in that same spot or make you yo-yo and rebound really bad later.
Yeah. It's almost like if you've worked out for 3 weeks, you go out to dinner and you get, a really good dessert because you're at a nice restaurant. And then the next morning you feel like you're a terrible person.
Yeah. Just like, no, just like you enjoyed your life, like enjoy your life still. Yeah. And I do that. And honestly, like, I know The Secret, like you remember The Secret. Mm-hmm. Remember The Secret, it's probably still crazy out there. Yeah. Like what you think about grows, and I mean, they make it all mystical and stuff, but that is kind of part of it, is like you're going to sit there and beat yourself up over a piece of cheesecake you ate the night before. That's going to do more damage than you just eating that cheesecake. Who cares? Like, let go of that stress behind it and don't attach so much, because when you make a food like sinful, I mean, we're like, oh, this is my secret obsession. Like, it doesn't have to be a secret. Yeah. And then it doesn't have any power over you. Yeah. I mean, and it's same with addiction, right? If it's a secret and it has power over you, but there's also, I mean, we could go deep into that, but there's so much more of a mental and emotional component to people leading into addiction, and not even food addiction, but it's socially acceptable, right? Right. Food addiction is not talked about. There's not rehab for food addiction, is there? Do I know? Well, I don't know. Maybe there's TV shows around it now, but like it's making it more acceptable. And
it's almost pushed on us too.
Right. I mean, all fast food sucks. Right. Like it just sucks. Yeah. You want it to taste good, and it might have until you like change how your body feels. Because when you, like, to me, I'm not going to lie, like I used to like McDonald's. And I've tried to, and I've had it twice this year. So it's not like I'm not someone that, well, twice this year. It's probably laughable. Some people love that and hate me for that, but yeah. I don't like it. There's a McDonald's right by my office, and I hate it. Yeah, I ate it, and I was like, I don't taste, this is not good. Like, but my taste buds are like, it craves like flavor, and like real food. My body does too. And since I don't attach so much emotion to it, I feel like I can eat whatever I want and pretty much stay exactly where I'm at. Yeah. But that's like the secret behind it, right? That's the secret, what they're trying to get to, is like not having, like, what, if I believe my body can look the way I want it to look all the time, I'm probably just going to make those subconscious choices to make it look that way. Yeah. Whether I'm like, oh, I'm doing so bad. And then I stop and think, I'm like, actually, I'm not bad at all. I'm actually pretty normal, balanced, and mostly like 85% clean all the time. Yeah. And I still work out. And like we just talked about, I'm like, sometimes I won't work out and I'm like, oh, it's been a week. Where other people are like, oh, 1 week, you've took off 1 week, Heather. Yeah. But here's the thing, you've built that habit and it's an amazing habit. Yeah. Right. So I'm doing 75 hard, which this podcast will be really funny because I'm not releasing them in order, right? Oh, okay, so it might come out way after you're done. Yeah, I weighed 20 pounds more in the first episode I did than I do right now. And so good. Yeah, I can see the changes, honestly, when you were posting pictures. I was like, Mark, it's working, Mark. Good job. Yeah. but I'm a big dude. So I'm at 320 right now, and it's like in the next 3 months I'm trying to hit down to 300, right? And I'm trying to do it without
crashing it down, because I can, I can go down to 1,500 calories and just burn myself out like I've done in the past. I've also done it healthy in the past. I've done both different ways, Yeah. I was actually pretty fit. I just barely finished working out with Justin right before COVID hit.
Right.
Do you remember?
I remember.
I was like 12% body fat. I was like feeling really good. And then, I got a couple of businesses. So when COVID hit, I stressed out a little bit
well,
and started eating fast food and just like not going to the gym and not doing any of that kind of stuff. And so just like everybody else, I mean, everyone's on a cycle, but like, except for, but when people get it like you, to give you a lot of praise, like you just built these habits, like you're going to go to the gym because it makes you feel good.
Right.
You're not going there to like necessarily like fix your sins or like, because I joke about it all the time. I'm like, I'm going here to fix my sins. People laugh.
I like it. Hey, you can still say that.
It's just a habit, right? Yeah. And 75 hard, which is, I'm 24 days in today, it's like, it's really just building habits.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the purpose behind it. I tried to do 75 hard and I made it like 5 days.
What the heck? What broke?
I just was like, why am I doing this? Like, I love my body. Like, I don't have, and I've developed these habits and I know them. I mean, part of me is like, Heather, like, seriously, you can't just do that. Like, but I still kind of want to, just to see. I'm pretty disciplined, but I think having done shows for 15 years, I'm like, okay, we'll just wait a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, when Michelle would do shows, I would just do the same thing with her.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
I mean, it's like similar.
Really, yeah, but way more intense.
Right.
Ready for a show is not even close. 75 hard's a walk in the park.
The hard thing about 75 hard for me was like checking all the boxes, which I loved. I'm a Virgo. Yeah. Did you know that? I feel like everybody knows that on Instagram. Anybody that follows me will know I'm a Virgo. I probably post at least something about it once a day, but I don't know why. It's just something that resonates with me, and I love checking off boxes. So I thought 75 hard would be a walk in the park for me. Yeah. And I just started in January, and I was like, okay, January 1st. I actually got like a whole bunch of people to say they're going to do it with me. And nobody followed through.
Oh, no one did?
No. I don't know if anyone made it past 6 days either. But I did like walking outside. Yeah. I did a walk outside. I, of course, did my weight training inside. But my cardio to walk outside in the winter time was fine. But I wasn't going to do some high intense cardio outside. Yeah. But so I would end up going to Hot Works too, which was my cardio. And it's kind of like I love intense cardio. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah. But it's 30 minutes, 130 degrees. I'm cycling and then I'm done. And so if I just walked outside, I'm like, I have to do that. And so then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, this is dumb because like I'm doing like way more exercises. And then reading, like and I like reading. Yeah. But I would get done with my day. I'd lay in bed and I'd start reading and I'd be like falling asleep. Books put me to sleep anyway. Yeah. So I was like, oh crap, I can't. How am I missing this one box?
I have to do my reading in the morning.
Yeah.
But I do it every day in the morning anyways. So I literally go to work every day. Well, not every day, but when I go to work, I read for like an hour.
Oh, see, there you go.
And so I don't read books. Most of the time it's normally financial news and, stuff like that. Stuff
I like
I'm interested
that,
in. So I've got 2 books at the office now so I can actually do my 10 pages or whatever, But like, so that, honestly, all of it's easy except for the freaking, you got to do it every day.
Yeah. There's no days off.
Yeah. So like day 8, 9, and 10, if you're following me on Instagram, I'm bitching up a storm. I'm just like,
I definitely follow.
I hate doing this, blah, blah, blah.
Every single day. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was kind of joking with some of my other friends around this group text. And I was like, and I literally, I just texted everyone in that group. I said, if you guys let me complain one more time, I'm not going to consider you a friend. And they were like, whoa, And I meant
Mark,
it.
suck it up.
Yeah, I was like, just don't let me complain. Like, complaining is worthless, you know? Mm-hmm. And then I finally
You picked it, right?
Yeah,
it's you. Yeah. You're doing it.
Yeah. And so then, and then honestly, like, 11, 12, 13 days, I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to knock this out. And then I just got used to it. But, because, if you go to the gym 6 days a week and take Sunday off, like, you're a rock star. Right. Like, you're doing everything you're supposed to.
Right.
So when you work out twice a day and you get to like day 7 and 8, for me, that's when I was like, does this ever end? Right. Then I would subtract 8 from 75 and be like, I got to do this for 60 something more days. Like, this sucks. And so, but now I'm a third done.
So wait, you're how many days in?
24.
See, it takes 21 days to make a habit usually. So you've gotten into that mode.
Yeah.
And that's so true. And it's awesome. And it probably will encourage a lot more people to hear that who has thinking about doing it. Yeah. I have had a client be successful and complete it, and then she went on to do the next 30 days.
Oh, the next phase?
Yeah.
Nice.
And she did say it's like the 7 days. It's like hard. And I'll work out 6 days in the gym, and then I'll do yoga on Sunday a lot of the time. So technically, I guess it would be the same. But yeah, I think that mental component of going like, I don't get any like full rest days, like crap. And there is a purpose for a rest day. Yeah. So you can argue yourself out of it really easy. And that's what I did. I argued myself out of it. It did not take even like 2 sentences probably for me to be like, okay, I'm not doing this. Yeah. Well, but I like it. I like the idea and concept behind it.
Yeah, and I fought against it for a while too, because I just see all these dudes posting this stuff, and I don't want to be the guy posting things. And it's funny too, because so I started posting like just once a week, right? Mm-hmm. Boom. And then I had a couple people reach out to me, and they were just like, dude, it encourages people to see you do this every day.
Yeah, it really does.
And I was like, okay.
You don't know who you're reaching, Mark. You got to go for it.
Well, yeah, all 700 of my followers. There's one in there that just needs it.
Yeah, if you can change one person.
True. But yeah, I mean, it's like, so I try and, write something fun every day, like, whatever. Today sucks. Hey, guess what? I'm still doing this, or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to be fun. But,
yeah.
Yeah. But
how's a selfie? Dude, you got to take like the same selfie every day.
Oh, do you?
Well, no, you don't. You don't have to.
All over the place.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I mean, that's normal.
I'm driving in the car because I haven't finished it. It's 11 o'clock, and I'm just like,
Yeah, that's fine. Just pull the face expression of the way you feel that day.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I feel. This is how I feel right now. That's your 75 hard, is just face expressions. Then you can put it together in like one of those fastings, and it shows you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, at the end.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. I've got a lot of beginning photos. I need to get to the end.
Yeah.
So
you're on your way.
Yeah. I'll get there. I mean, I've actually mapped out the next, 2/3 of it. What I got, 50 days left. Like I'm,
If you can see like the projection of the end goal, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I just do it every day. I'm actually liking going to the gym again too, because I'm starting to feel strong again.
Oh, nice.
One of the problems for me is I've had periods in my life where I'm really strong. Mm-hmm. And then when I start the gym back up and I have to lift weights for 6 months, like you're just not strong. You're like 50% of your strength.
And it's discouraging a little bit, huh?
Yeah, big time.
I feel that.
Do you?
Well, to a degree. And speaking of shoulder, because I tweaked my rotator cuff at some point. I think it was in 2020, and I had do you know who Lee Skinner is? I'm gonna just do a little plug in. Yeah. He is amazing. He's really good at what he does. He's super educated as well, and he helped me kind of rehab it was just a strain, but it could have gotten worse. Yeah. But when I was pushing 5 pounds, when I'm used to pushing 40,
right.
That it makes you go, okay, why am I even doing this? This is stupid.
Yeah.
But that 5 pounds led to 10, and now it got to a point where I'm pushing again. But also with my goals now, as I've gotten older too, as you creep into 40 and everyone says it, it's like you feel different. Yeah, I'm not trying to overload all my joints anymore.
Yeah.
And I like my physique, but I want to maintain the muscle I have, and it is hard as you get older to maintain or put on muscle. So just consistency for me is really even maintaining. But I see young, 20-something-year-old girls in the gym now pushing heavier weight than me, and it kind of hurts my ego a little bit. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And I want to, but then I go, Heather, why? Yeah. Just feel the movement, get the blood flow. I can still get a really good pump with grabbing, lower weights. Yeah. Keeping my form and just kind of isolating, doing single arm, single leg stuff. And then I'm not hurting. Yeah. And I'm not destroying.
What's hilarious is those girls are literally taking pictures of you while you're working out.
You're like, I want to look like
morning,
that.
I'm going to look like this. And you're just like, well, she pushing more weight than me.
I know. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. But I do also want to give them a warning. Be like, you will get old, so just be careful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
exactly.
Don't destroy. My knees sound horrible. They're fine. They don't hurt. But if you hurt them, you would think I was probably 92 or something.
Really? Is that the only thing on you that's got
it's just
wear
loose
and tear on
it? That loose cartilage. And I mean, part of it, I ran 5 half marathons, and my knees hurt every single time.
Yeah.
I was like, why do people do this? Our body's really, unless you're, from Kenya or something. I just don't think our bodies are made to run long distances.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to be freaking crazy skinny to do it.
Yeah. You're taking 3 to 5 times your body weight into your joint with every step. So it's you're constantly putting so much pressure. And people are like, I don't run. I'm like, good. Like when my clients come to me and be like, I don't run. I'm like, I don't want you to run. I really don't. Like sprinting is one thing. And if you can do, like, you ever use those curved treadmills? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love those.
I actually did one of them last night.
Yes. Yeah. And I love them for sprints, and they're, you don't have to adjust the speed and everything. So it makes it nicer, but you could sprint for like 20 seconds and walk, and you're doing less damage than if you're just doing a constant jog for an hour.
Yeah. Well,
treadmills
sprints,
in general.
See, I actually love doing sprints outside on a football field.
Yeah.
So with some of my buddies, I'm like, dude, let's go do this as a workout. We'll just like run like little post things. Oh, come with us.
Yeah, I'll come.
Yeah, just throw the football at each other, like run 10 yards, run another 10 yards.
I love that kind of any reason to kind of do something fitness wise and distract.
Break it up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and in sprinting, that's a workout. It's a big time workout. It's a full body workout, right? When you say?
Yeah, I would say. It takes a lot of core strength. I mean, it's really great for your legs. Yeah. You see the sprinters in the Olympics, and their legs are insane.
Oh, yeah.
And I want legs not being my genetic blessing. Like you said, my genetics, I've always had a pretty wide back. And honestly, I didn't think it was a good thing, trying to get a prom dress when you're in high school and everyone's getting like a size 2. And you're like, why is this sticking out? But I'm like, oh, I have lats. And I didn't know I had lats when I was younger.
Yeah.
It's just part of, which is great for the industry, but also my legs are really long and my torso is short, which is not great for the industry. So I have some strengths and some weaknesses. And the legs that I have now, it's taken me 15 years to put on, but I still think they're small.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want them bigger. I don't think you can ever have too big of legs and glutes, right? I mean, that's the look these days.
Yeah. Well, and strong legs keep you young.
Yeah.
They really do. Mm-hmm. You'll get some of these guys that are like really, really fit in their like 60s. It's like they have really strong legs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal now is when I work out, I don't miss a leg day.
Yeah.
I might miss, I don't know. Actually, the only things I really train in, I haven't trained arms in forever, and people are probably gonna hate me for saying that. But I mean, you get secondary muscle firing with back day and shoulders. You're still gonna get some sort of stimulus.
Every
to your
time
arms.
you pick up a dumbbell to do a workout, yeah.
I take plates off and on machines all day long. I'm pretty sure they're getting enough
for
stimulus.
You and your clients, right?
Yes, all day. Yeah.
So what's a typical? Take us through like a week. Like what's your splits? My
workout split.
Yeah.
And this isn't usually typical for my clients because their goals are different, but I'll usually do like quads, usually Monday, like shoulders Tuesday, back Wednesday, maybe yoga Thursday, hamstrings and calves Friday. And then I'll do like shoulders or back again on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like,
and yoga on Sunday, right?
I'll do yoga on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, if I miss one of the workouts within the week, then I'll do something on Sunday too, as far as weight training goes. But hot yoga, which is so funny. So last Sunday I was going to work out because I didn't hit my hamstrings or something. But I did like hot yoga, and it's flow. And I love flow yoga. It's hot, it's intense, it's movement. I still feel the stretch, but I'm not holding positions. Yeah. And then I did restore right after, and I was miserable, and I hate it. And it was the second time I've probably done it, and I was like, yep, I still hate it. But I don't know, there's probably something there that I need to visit and why I'm like resisting against it. But it's like, holding those things, my hip flexors are tight, my adductors, my knees feel pressure when I'm holding the pigeon pose is my nemesis.
Yeah.
Some people do it and they look like Gumby, and I'm like, how do you do that?
See, do you always do the hot works?
Yoga?
Yeah.
No, well, I'll do Lifetime, like Paris's class a lot of the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one that made me fall in love with yoga. I've told that to so many people, and her classes are still amazing. So I usually try to go to her 10:45 class.
On Sunday?
Yeah, you should come.
I need you to go.
You should come. It's so good. You and Michelle.
I don't know why I think we've just been gone for Sundays.
Oh,
we've been all over the freaking place.
Yeah.
Michelle loves yoga. She does it at least twice a week.
I know. I didn't think I'd be a yogi, and I seriously I love yoga, and I'll teach it. But I really think that's one thing that's helped me stay conditioned too.
Yeah.
Because you're getting movement. My heart rate will get up to like 180 in there sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, you are going hard.
I know. That's the thing. I'm always like, am I all in or I'm just not going to do it?
Yeah.
And that's why I like hot work so much, because it's so intense and it's heat and you're pedaling and you're sweating in like the first 90 seconds, like dripping. Yeah. I look like I stepped out of a swimming pool.
See, that would be fun. I always watch your Instagram on that where you're just in a freaking hot box.
And it's infrared heat, so it's good for circulation, detox. There's so many benefits to it too. But it's like maximizing your efforts and minimizing your time, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I don't want to spend an hour on a treadmill. Yeah. I would rather go and do a 20-minute hot cycle class and move on with my day, because generally your metabolism's going to run longer. You're going to burn more calories post-workout instead of having to just sit there. I mean, the whole fat burning zone and sugar burning zone is just so false. I mean, and somebody probably can come out there and prove me wrong about it, but like personal experience and seeing my clients, their experience, I'm like, it's not though.
Well, everybody that goes and loses their weight by just doing endless amounts of cardio gains it back.
Right. And they just don't look healthy that way. Yeah. They just look, and I don't think they feel great. I mean, you want your skin tight, right? Not just loose and muscle. That's why what you were saying was like I don't want to have too much muscle, and people like being so afraid to lift heavy. Yeah. It's like, what do you want to look like then? Right. Like, do you want to just look like a bag of bones? Because you could lose your fat and not have any muscle. Yeah. I don't think you're going to like the way you look that way. And even me, like, when I was first into this sport, well, at my heaviest, like, I was around 155, 160, but I was, like, high body fat. No, this was before I got into the industry.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I was high body fat. I had no shape to my legs. I called them fat carrots. Like I said, I wouldn't wear shorts. I had no definition in my abs. Like my arms were soft. You couldn't see shoulders, nothing. Now I weigh 152 probably right now, maybe 150 right now. But like my size is like at least 6 sizes smaller.
Yeah.
And as far as waistline, and my shape is there, and I can eat a ton more, and my energy's better, and I should get more sleep, but I can pretty much function on, 5-6 hours, which don't do that. I don't. I just do.
Well,
I don't know if I should.
So I am like, I should get paid for this, but I tell everyone they need a CPAP machine because I got one.
You should get paid just like a little plug-in.
But I get 6.5 hours of sleep and I am golden. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty much because the CPAP machine takes me into like REM for like ever.
That's
and I fall asleep like that. Mm-hmm. So if I fall asleep, then I just have this really, really deep sleep for 6.5 hours and I'm good to go. And the reason why I promote the CPAP, which it's more of a joke than anything, right? But like I went from like 7.5 to 8, and I'd still sometimes be tired because I wouldn't get really good sleep. Mm-hmm. But when you get really good sleep for a while, you don't need that much.
No.
Especially the older you get.
And maybe that's the thing. I mean, I'll wake up a couple times in the night, like glance at my clock and then fall right back asleep. So maybe I do get, I have that Whoop strap. It's funny because it wouldn't connect to my phone. And so I just haven't used it. I paid for the membership and I paid for the membership for like 3 years. So I'm like, I should still use it. But sometimes too, though, like too much information and obsessing over that does more damage than good, right? Yeah. Like I know people that like they'll feel good, but then they'll look and they'll be like, oh, I only got like 4.5 hours. I'm going to be tired today now. Yeah. Like, well, you didn't feel tired. Yeah. Or even like the scale for that matter, if we want to dive into that, is like, oh, I feel so good. My clothes fit good. I bet I'm down. They step on the scale and there's no change. And they're like, oh, I'm still fat.
Oh, and I'm like, that's me for sure.
I know. That's probably why I'm bringing it up, Mark.
Thank you.
I need to tell you. I'm like, don't let something outside of you determine how you're going to feel inside. Yeah. Right? It's like if you feel good, don't gravitate towards something that's never confirmed you're feeling good. Yeah. Whether that's a person or a scale or an object or anything. Just feel good because you feel good.
Well, that's excellent.
Don't try
advice.
To change that. I mean, this should have been my advice in the end, right?
Yeah. Well, we can say whatever.
We can say. I have so much more.
No, you're right though. I mean, that's why. Like, if I'm not losing weight on the scale, I instantly make Michelle pull out the body fat calipers.
Yeah.
And it's down every time, and I'm always like, oh, okay. And
but then did it satisfy you?
Yeah, the body fat always does because I feel like body fat never lies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge indicator. Right. Yeah, totally. And as long as you're using at least the same method every time, because if you're jumping around to different methods and it's giving you different information, that can throw you off.
Yeah.
So at least use one method, and even whether it's right or wrong, as long as it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's my thing with Michelle. Sometimes she feels like she doesn't pinch right. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just pinch me in the same spot every time. I just need to see that number start. I don't care if it's 40.
Right.
Let's just keep it going down.
Right, exactly. So. Yeah, that's good. And that is like why the way I do my programs is with body fat and weight. And I mean, my online clients send pictures, and I try to get them to find a place to do a consistent body fat measurement because those numbers are needed. You need to see factual data for you to like wrap your head around, okay, I am changing.
Yeah.
Because we are so in our heads all the time. Like, you know, one morning I can wake up and I'm like, oh, I look good. Yeah. And then the next like morning, for whatever reason, I don't. And I mean, this is the reason I've always had a coach, because I'd be like, I feel good, so I'm going to have this cookie today. Or I feel like crap, so I'm going to do 3 hours instead. Like, that's what people could do to themselves, and they don't understand. Like, there's so many fluctuations that happen. Yeah. I mean, are you hydrated? Did you get enough sleep? Speaking of sleep, is it a certain time of month, which can put on like certain things? Your body, your hormones, all that stuff does so much to you that you can't just like, if you feel good, like enjoy that. Yeah. And enjoy that process and trust the process and be consistent.
It's funny because I'll give the same advice in the financial world, right? Like guys will get really like, well, he's got 15 more bucks than me, so he's more successful. And it's like, dude, pull it back and look and say, are you improving all the time? And it's like, yeah, my net worth's going up.
Right.
You know, it's the exact same thing, right? It's like, do you feel better?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's hard because I think people get in their head, right? And they're like, they'll argue themselves. So like, do you feel better, but shouldn't I look better or shouldn't I?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like every day, just feel better.
Right.
You know?
It's that comparing too, I think. Comparing will, you know, deter you big time with, like, with whether you're progressing or not.
Yeah.
Like we've got to stop that. And I think, you know, social media is a big component to that too, is like getting on there and being like, this is my life. And you know, people are good. Like some people will post, you know, their negative days, but most people are going to post everything good. Yeah. They're not going to tell you and sit there and say, well, you know, I've had this. And I mean, every successful financial advisor or like, you know, famous people that do show like how successful they've become, you didn't see all of the, you know, ups and downs. And even when you talk about it, it's like, okay, well, we know that, but when you're going through it, are you going to recognize it? Yeah. And are you going to be like, okay, yeah, this is normal, this is okay, I'm right where I need to be right now, am I making progress?
Yeah.
And physical, like financial, I think there's a lot of every area of your life you can kind of use that same method for.
Yeah, wake up every day happy.
I've
for the last few years, I just have this. I like to put hashtag YOLO in like all my Instagram stuff because I want to live that way.
Yeah,
it's like a daily reminder to be like, dude, you only live once.
Right.
You know, today's the day. Have
well, you live
fun.
every day. You only die once, Mark.
That's true. Well, gosh darn it, getting all philosophical on me.
I mean, I got a lot of deep stuff in here.
But there's some people that like they're not happy every day.
Oh.
You know, I mean, you know, 20-year-olds kind of live for the weekends, right? Because they got to work their job or whatever, you know, and then hopefully eventually they pull out of that. Do they have fun careers, right?
Right. Hopefully they're working towards something that they're going to be passionate about. Right.
Like it was funny. So last night, my you know, Nixon, my son is doing football. So football tryouts are all this week. I love him. He is way cute.
I walk in, he's like, hi, Heather. I'm like, oh, it's my little buddy.
Oh, when I picked him up, he goes, hey, we got to hurry home. Heather's at our house.
Isn't he the cutest? He's like my guy.
And I'm like, you need a hug from Heather? He's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, yeah, good for you, bro.
He's so confident in his little personality. Like, I love kids for that reason. Yeah. And like, I try to perpetuate that. But anyway, what were you saying? Sorry.
Oh, just I'm trying to be more present in my kid's life, you know, because I've worked a lot the last 10 years, right?
That's so awesome.
And so last night, one of the coaches was like, hey, you want to coach? And I was like, oh, hell no. And, you know, he's just like, why not? And I'm just like, I swear too much, and I will expect too much of the kids, all this kind of stuff.
Mark, you'd be a great coach.
Well, I committed.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
But the only reason why I did, I was actually standing out on the field because I got there a little bit late, and I wanted him to know that I was there.
Right.
So I literally just walked up to the drill he was doing, gave him a high five, you know, let him do his thing, lit up, you know, because Dad's there. And I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'll coach because I want to stand out here every day with my son. You know, and
it's so cute.
But I'm really trying my best to be like, did you have fun today? You know, and he's just like, yeah, because I'm just like, I want to correct everything that you're doing wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like arms behind him to block, and like all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, geez, I hate that you're like.
I mean, there's ways of going about it, right? To make him so like, you did so good. Here, this is a piece of advice, right? There's ways to go about it to make a kid feel really good at where they're at, but then giving them advice to help them be a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're good at that. Like, I don't even have to. I mean,
I am pretty good at that.
The advice that I've heard you give me in my life on top of, you know, the people that I've been around and loved is amazing. And I will always take that.
Yeah.
It's good. I could always use it too. So that's so cute. I love that though.
Yeah, it is fun. It's just, you know, but yeah, every day, man, you just got to wake up and have fun, you know, laugh with some people, make some jokes, give some people some hugs, you know.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I'll save this to my last little bit, but like, that's the thing is like, if there isn't something inside of you that's like resonating, like visit that.
Yeah. Because
if you're waking up mad, like why? Like really get to the root of it, because you're not going to be able to change that unless you understand the why, right?
Yeah.
And everything external doesn't matter. Like everything outside of you is not going to fix anything that's going on inside. And if there's something going on inside and it's turning you and pushing you into a direction that you really don't want to be in your life, then take a second to like kind of go like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then that's what, I mean, my fitness probably has propelled me into that direction, that mentality. Like people ask me all the time, are you going to compete again? I'm like, no. And I would love to. I'd love to tell them yes, because I actually do like the stage and I like the process. I like having something to work towards, but it's not fulfilling me anymore.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't fulfill me anymore, I'm not going to do it for everybody else. Yeah. I would do it for me, and I have done it for me most of my life, you know.
Yeah.
There's usually been some goals around it, but like the end goal, the reason I did it was because the end goal was going to get me somewhere else, you know? Yeah. And so once it kind of shifts and it doesn't serve me anymore, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really have to have a reason. Like you don't have to have a reason. You're just like, no, it just doesn't resonate anymore. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And pivot.
Yeah.
No,
I have other goals now.
Yeah, exactly. So one of my favorite reasons, other than you're one of my good friends to have you on the podcast, is you're a badass chick.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
You're doing things. Badass. Yeah, good. And, you know, I'm very excited for people, especially women, to hear you, you know, even my own daughters, right? Because I want them to look at your life and be like, look at what Heather's done. Like, and like, it's positive attitude. It's all that kind of stuff. So pretend you're talking to my little Brian Harper and give us your best 2 minutes of advice.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's when I think about Brian Harper, I'm like, how would I put it? But just like in general, like to kind of continue on what I was saying is like pay attention to your inner voice, your inner intuition, because that is like your soul speaking to you, right? And, you know, people in organized religion can call it a whole bunch of other things. But to me, like, it's really connecting with yourself. Because once you kind of go against that, and with society and everything and social media and even just programming, and not by anyone's fault necessarily, but like we are born and raised by people that have grown up with their social norm, society, what's right and what's wrong, right? But when you actually take a step back and you go, what's right and what's wrong is going to be what resonates inside of you. Mm-hmm. So if you kind of take a second and you go, this doesn't feel right, whether everybody outside of you would be like, no, but it is, you got to do it. And so you're like, well, I got to do it because everybody tells me to. And you become a people pleaser. Mm-hmm. And that's always going to lead you down a path of heartache or, you know, I mean, it's lessons. So, and you have to do that and you have to feel heartache sometimes to learn the lessons behind it. But once you start recognizing like everything inside of me is going to speak to me. And if it feels good and it feels right, then why is it wrong? I don't care if it's socially acceptable or if it's the path that everybody says you're supposed to take, or if it's completely opposite of that. You will actually sleep better at night. You will feel better about yourself, and you will actually see your life progress and your confidence progress, and you'll walk around with your head held high, knowing that you've made some decisions that everybody else might have hated, but you feel good about it. And usually it's going to be good things. Like fitness, if you're like, oh, I just feel this need to go work out, but I just, you know, well, then take that, use that. If you have that for the moment, then use it in that moment and accelerate with it. Or if you have an idea that pops up about something financially, like, well, then listen to that. And if it keeps bugging you, then it's really something that you need to listen to and pay attention to. And I'm just learning this. So it's like, I'm 38, like I said, and it's taken me, I think, over the last 2 years since I got divorced, I have learned so much about myself, about my patterns, and like my own voice inside that I haven't listened to for most of my life. So now I want to make sure, especially young girls and especially kids, with society and the media and like news and government and all that stuff can weigh so much on you and you don't even know why. It just is. But if you take a second stop and you go, I'm going to make decisions for me, you're usually going to just propel yourself in the right direction and you'll kind of find your purpose and your passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that good?
That's awesome advice. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, hey, thanks for coming on the show.
Anytime. I hope we have another one. And there's an idea that's been, by the way, going on in my mind that I'm going to talk to you about later because you are my best financial advisor. And hopefully we can have another podcast when we kind of visit that and it starts taking off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate that, Mark.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the President McCormack Podcast, brought to you by McCormack Foundation, Saxton Fund, ADP Lemco, and Professional Floor Systems. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and keep up with Mark on Instagram @President McCormack.